Hello YouTube. Well, this is the diesel heater video. It's taken me longer than I anticipated to make this video. Lots of little things, little gremlins involved in this. So let's start at the beginning. Ordered the heater, got the heater, unboxed the heater, showed the contents of the heater, and then I bench tested it. But I can tell you it's nice and warm. Oh yeah, is it nice and warm? Good idea. Don't put it in until you try and make sure it works. So I did that, and yes, it worked great. Then what? Then I measured, cut, made my little framework, installed the heater on it, put in the tank. I have the tank temporarily in the bathroom. You know, did all the assembly parts. I mean, everybody's is going to be a little bit different depending upon where they're putting it. So mine might help somebody, but generally you're going to have to kind of fabricate things and put one in wherever you can put it. So I didn't go into a lot of detail with that. So then what happened? Well, I fired it up in the van to make sure it worked, and I was thrilled. It worked great. On the lowest setting, it got the van from like 38 degrees up to a comfortable 60 degrees in about 20 or 30 minutes. Then what? Well, then I turned it off, and then I cycled it back on the next day, and it ran beautifully, about an hour and a half. Van was nice and warm, everything's fine, and then it decides it's going to shut itself down. Well, I'm a little puzzled. So I said, okay, well, I'll just wait for it to shut itself off, and then I'll try starting it again. So I did. Pressed the start button, and it started cycling and doing its stuff. Glow plug came on, everything's cycling the way it's supposed to. But no pump. Pump didn't start. I said, okay, shut it down. Try priming the pump. So I tried to prime the pump. Did that work? No. So I said, okay, I got a problem here. I got to get out the meter and start diagnosing things. Disconnected the pump from the wiring harness that leads up to the control box on the actual heater itself. So to test the pump, I disconnected from the harness. I took a meter set to 12 volts, and I put the probes on the connector from the heater. And I once again hit the prime function, and it pulsed on and off, the equivalent of an on and off, on and off. Good. Stop the prime, turn that off. Over to the pump. Now I set the meter to continuity. Beep, 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 and went across the terminals of the pump. What happened? Beep. I got a beep. So that means I've got a closed circuit. What is a closed circuit in this case? It is a dead short, basically. The pump, to explain, is an electromagnet that is connected to a piston. And so when the pump is energized, voltage passes through the electromagnet and pulls the piston up, which pumps the fluid, the diesel fuel, to the heater. So in its resting configuration, it shouldn't have any current across those two terminals. It should be an open circuit. The circuit gets closed when the electromagnet is energized. Well, there's no energy, the pump's disconnected, shouldn't be closed. So now I know I've got a pump that's frozen in one position. Can I unfreeze it? Well, I tapped it with a hammer. I probed and tried and did everything I could externally to see if I could dislodge it. Nope, couldn't do it. I know I've got a bad pump. What do I need to do? I contacted the person at the company that sent me the kit and said I've got a bad pump. And they said, yep, sounds like you've got a bad pump. Well, here's the deal. We don't sell pumps. We only sell complete kits. Okay. So what do you want me to do? Well, you could send the kit back and we'll send you another kit. And I'm like, well, yeah, we could do that. But I looked online, I could find a pump. I said, what about this? How about if I buy a pump and you just reimburse me the price of the pump? And they said, yeah, that'd be great. We'd be happy to do that. So I went and got a pump. When it arrived, it took about a week for it to arrive, actually about 4 or 5 days. I disconnected the pump that's in here, the bad one, took it out, put the new pump in, connected everything back up, started it, ran perfect. It's been running perfect ever since. That's good news. Everything's working, everything's fine. The company reimbursed me the amount for the pump, in fact, a little bit more. Everything's up and running and working great. Now, people might say, gee, Rich, you kind of get stuff that doesn't work. Your fridge, you had to send that back and get another fridge. This didn't work, you had to send this back, or you had to get another part for this. Your generator, it didn't work. I know. What am I, like the recipient of the defects? I don't know. But that's what happened. Maybe it's so that I can post these videos of stuff. I really don't know. It doesn't bother me. I don't care. It's fine. Everything works out, and I just anticipate it. I expect I'm going to have issues, and it's going to be the process, and I'm going to have to go through the process. So it doesn't bother me. And I'm going to show you a few other things. How I made a mount for the exhaust pipe, because it's important to keep it, you know, away from anything. So I made a real nice exhaust pipe setup. I'm in the process of making a template so I can cut a panel to cover up the opening where the former Suburban heater was. It had a metal grate there, and the grate actually screws into the Suburban heater. I was going to have to do something one way or the other, so I just decided I'll just cut out a piece of material and put it in place, cut a hole in it, and then run that accordion tubing out through that hole and connect the fixture that is the vent that came with the kit. I like the idea of using that because as I turn it, if I turn it one way, it'll blow towards the front of the van. If I turn it another way, it'll blow down, like for my feet. If I turn it another way, it'll blow up, like towards my face or up towards the bed where I'm sitting. So I like the idea, the adjustability of that versus the grate of the Suburban heater, which is just kind of stuck in place. Now the other thing is these pumps are noisy. Is that annoying? Some people online say they like it. It's comforting. They know the heater's working, and that little sound is a reassuring thing to them. To me, repetitive noise like that is kind of distracting. So I'm doing the best I can to lessen that, eliminate that, lower it as much as I can. It may require me to move the pump someplace else. It's kind of difficult because the pump, it's connected, excuse me, it's a wiring harness. So I would have to splice the wiring harness, drill a hole, run the wire through the hole, seal the hole, splice the wires back together again, which I may do down the road. That may be something I decide to do. For now, I just have it in a cubby hole with some sound material around it. I'm going to get some more sound material. The main thing is it makes this this ticking noise. The ticking noise resonates in the cabinetry. So if you can isolate that and keep it from resonating, that's ideal. Now to me, I have it down so low now, I can barely hear it. That's it. So now the question comes, would I do this again? I'm going to shut the door because there's a helicopter going over. It uses very little energy. It's running now. You can hardly, I mean, maybe a half an amp to run the fan at the speed it's running at. It's using very little power. The Suburban heater not only used quite a bit of 12-volt power to run the fan, it also used 12-volt power to start itself. It used propane as a fuel to do the heating part of things. This is using very little 12-volt power, and it's using very little diesel fuel to do the heating part of things. A gallon of diesel is probably going to last quite a while in here, several days. The propane in the same weather conditions, you know, I'd be limited to how long I could last in those conditions. Maybe 2-3 days at most. And then it'd be find another place to get some propane. And that's not always the easiest thing in the world to do. Sometimes you pull in someplace and they have propane, but they don't have the attachment to fill your tank. It's a problem. Here, almost any place I go to get gas will probably have diesel. I may even get a smaller tank for the bathroom because of the fact that it just doesn't use that much fuel. So would I get this, you know, would I do this again? Remove the Suburban heater and install a diesel heater? Absolutely. The cost savings just on propane over time will offset the price of the little heater. But I have a Suburban heater that's perfectly good. I'm going to put it on eBay or Craigslist, and I'll probably get a buyer like I did for my old refrigerator, and essentially I'm going to be able to transfer one type of heating for another at really almost no cost other than the labor to take things out and put things in. Probably won't cost me anything. It's a simple thing. People think, oh gosh, this is new technology. No, it's not. Diesel heaters were invented, a guy invented a diesel heater in 1930. So this type of a heater has been around for almost 100 years. So it's not new technology at all. The electronic control of it is new, but the heater function, the way it works, has been around for a long time. No moving parts other than the fan. Yeah, very simple and fail-safe. Essentially, if it's not getting fuel, it turns itself off. It's mountable just about anywhere. People have mounted them in trucks, campers, Westphalias, small vehicles. Let's compare it to like the $200 catalytic heaters. Better than those? Yeah, because you're not using propane. You're using a much less expensive fuel for openers. It doesn't cost as much per gallon. It doesn't use as much, so you're going to get better mileage at a lower cost. You don't have to contend with keeping, having windows open, set apart distances from things combustible within the van. There are a lot of places where one of those catalytic heaters, you can't really use them because you're not far enough away, you don't have enough clearance to use it. Diesel heater, you can mount it under the seat in a Westphalia. I've seen people do it. Is it safe there? Yeah, people mount them inside of the cabs of trucks, diesel trucks. They call them a parking heater because people pull up, park a diesel truck, turn it off. They have to stop driving and get rest, and it's cold where they are, so they turn on these parking heaters and stay nice and warm and go to sleep, have a break between their driving shifts, and then they can get up and resume driving, and they're not freezing cold. They're comfortable. I can't think of any reason why not to make the change and get one of these, notwithstanding, well, you get one with a bad pump. Okay, everything is mechanical. Everything can break, fail. Why it happens to me every time I buy something, I have no idea. That's fine. So, if this video was helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you think somebody else would like it and you want to share it with them, please do. Share it out there. If you want to get more content like this, then subscribe, because I'm continuing to do stuff all the time. My next thing is I'm going to illuminate all my cabinets, because at night I get into a cabinet and I've got to get a light and look around to find what it is I'm looking for. So I'm going to put lights inside of the cabinets so I can see inside of them without dragging a light around. And lastly, as always, comment as you see fit. Until the next video, I'm warm. I hope you are too. See you later.